The movie begins with a married couple named Matt and Kate. They have just moved into their newly purchased home, which is located in a remote area. Shortly after, the couple begins cleaning the house while playfully fooling around with each other. We then learn that Matt is a struggling artist, and Kate is an underpaid translator. So, they are not financially secure, and this house is the best they can afford. Later, Kate is in the kitchen and discovers a dead bird on the floor. Matt is also clearing out some furniture when he comes across a vintage, cross-shaped key. Kate decides to bury the bird, but she's startled when Matt throws furniture out the window, and then she notices that the bird has mysteriously vanished. Later, while ripping off wallpaper in the house, Matt comes across an old-fashioned door with a hole in the center. He quickly retrieves the earlier key from the trash and unlocks the door. He and Kate try to head into a dark room, but the lights suddenly begin to flicker in the entire house, so the spooked couple promptly leaves and calls the power company for assistance. The next day, an electrician comes to check the cables and heads to the basement with Matt. To their shock, the wires in the basement are ancient and tangled strangely. The electrician says he has never seen anything like it in his life. Matt asks if there's anything he can do, but the electrician explains it's too complicated. Before leaving, he tells Matt how surprised he was that the house has been purchased so long after the incident. Matt doesn't understand, so the electrician reveals that the previous owners of the house were murdered. Later, while searching the internet, Matt discovers that the previous owners, a married couple, were murdered in this house by a man in the 1970s. The perpetrator was eventually arrested, but his identity is unknown, so he is referred to as John Doe. This worries Matt, and he drunkenly begins sketching a portrait of John Doe based on his picture. Afterward, he heads to the secret room and finishes a bottle of liquor. He then wishes he had another bottle, right when this happens. A bottle of alcohol suddenly appears in front of him. The following morning, Kate awakens to the sound of flickering lights in the house. She then finds Matt in the secret room, which is now filled with paintings. He seems very excited, and shows her original Cezanne and Van Gogh paintings. Matt then asks a confused Kate to make a wish, so she randomly wishes for $1,000. And then, moments later, several bundles of cash appear, which confuses her even more. Thinking her husband is playing a trick on her, Kate wishes for $1 million. But to her shock, it also appears immediately. This unsettles Kate and she tries to leave, but her husband stops her. Matt informs her that the room has a special power and suggests they have fun with it. Following this, the couple begins to ask for everything they've ever wanted, and has a lot of fun. Every day, they enjoy luxurious meals, designer dresses, jewels, and lots of money. At one point, Matt even showers Kate with diamonds. Later, when they're in bed, she wonders how the room works, but Matt says it doesn't matter. Days pass, and the couple continues dancing and partying all the time. They eventually stop working as well, since they see no point in doing jobs when they can easily get everything they desire. However, after a period of enjoyment, Kate begins to feel empty, realizing that all of this is an illusion with no real value. To cheer her up, Matt surprises her with a crib, and suggests that they try to have a baby. But Kate, who has been through 2 miscarriages, refuses out of fear of being hurt again, even though the doctor said there was nothing wrong with either of them. Regardless, she becomes very emotional and storms out of the room. Soon, Matt also feels bad for mentioning it, and heads outside to clear his mind. But surprisingly, when he returns home later, he is shocked to see Kate with a baby boy. This enrages Matt as he knows she created the baby with the help of the magical room. He demands that they get rid of the baby right away, and Kate has no choice but to agree. The couple then enters the secret room, where Matt asks her to wish for the baby to disappear. But Kate is too emotional and begins to cry, so he takes the baby to do it himself. At this moment, the room flickers, and the baby also starts to cry. Seeing his innocent face, Matt realizes he cannot do it and ends up changing his mind. The next day, he reviews the old newspapers again, and discovers that John Doe ended up in a mental institution after his arrest. He claimed that the room made him commit those heinous acts. To learn more about the room's mechanisms, Matt goes to the facility to meet him. When he arrives at the reception, the nurse informs him that no one has come to see John in 45 years except reporters. This stuns Matt, so he lies that he's a reporter as well. But later, when he meets John, the murderer instantly recognizes that he's not a reporter. Matt then tells him about the house he's living in, and John Doe responds by saying he has been waiting for him for a long time. He adds that Matt must be enjoying the luxurious life, jewels, meals, and tons of cash. When Matt asks why he killed those people, John reveals that it was the only way. He suddenly advises Matt to forget about the room and leave the house now before it's too late. Before leaving, John also says, the only thing more dangerous than a person who can't get what they want is a person who gets whatever they want. After this, a disappointed Matt heads home and stops at a gas station. But then, when he's about to pay, he realizes that the money taken from the mysterious room has turned into dust. This worries him, so he immediately rushes home. Matt then takes a pile of cash and throws it out the window, which turns to dust as well. He also tries to place a Van Gogh painting in the doorway, half inside the house and half outside. The part that's outside immediately fades, while the rest remains intact. Witnessing this, it finally dawns on Matt that the objects created by the room quickly vanish once they leave the house. Shortly after, when Kate tries to exit the house with the baby, Matt stops her, warning that it's dangerous. But she doesn't listen to him and ends up leaving anyway. This causes the baby's body to burn and it begins crying in pain. Hearing Kate's screams, Matt eventually rushes the baby back inside. But by this time, the baby also miraculously matured into a young boy, baffling the couple. After Kate puts him to bed, Matt finally tells her about John Doe and his past. He also explains that everything the room creates will age and turn to dust if taken outside the house. Kate insists that her son is not an object, but Matt claims that he's just a figment from a giant 3D printer, regardless of what she believes. Despite everything, Kate begins to raise the child as her own and names him Shane. She homeschools him and never allows him to leave the house. One day, while Kate's teaching him, she mentions camping, and Shane says he wants to go camping as well. But Kate tells him that he can't go because he's sick, and it would be deadly for him to go outside. This only annoys the boy, and he starts throwing a tantrum. When Kate goes outside to pick the things he threw, he rudely slams the door on her. Later, a delivery man arrives outside the house and hands Kate a package. She then hands it to Matt, and it is revealed that he had ordered a gun for some reason. The scene then cuts to a few days later, where Kate is busy in her own world. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Shane goes to the front door and sticks his hand out to feel the air, so Kate frantically pulls him inside. She examines his hand and is relieved to find him unharmed. After the incident, Kate becomes anxious and begins boarding up all of the windows with wooden panels. The next day, while Matt is practicing shooting outside, Shane sneaks into his studio and grabs a snow globe. He then accidentally drops it on the floor, shattering it to pieces. At this moment, Matt walks in and is furious to see him in the studio. Kate arrives, and the boy listens to their conversation from outside when Kate asks Matt to treat their son with more kindness. But Matt doesn't care, claiming he's just a figment and not their child. Later that night, the boy wanders around the house and eventually arrives at the secret room. The next morning, when Matt wakes up, he notices an intact snow globe next to him. He rushes over to Kate and asks if she created it, but she denies it. The couple then goes to the secret room together. And to their surprise, they notice Shane has built an entire forest inside. It turns out he has figured out the magic of the secret room. The boy is excitedly playing with his snowman, and this impresses Kate. However, an angry Matt drags him out of the room and forbids him from going back in anymore. He then locks the door, leaving Kate to console her son. Later, the couple argues in a room while Shane listens intently through the door. Kate is frustrated with her husband's behavior, but Matt explains that a little boy shouldn't toy with such power. He emphasizes that there is a strong possibility Shane might wish for something foolish and dangerous, such as a dragon, or something that will hurt them all. Just then, the landline rings, so Shane picks it up and speaks. It turns out to be John Doe, who is shocked to hear a kid's voice, but Matt immediately grabs the phone and scolds the boy for answering it. He wonders how the man found his number, and the murderer congratulates him on having a son and learns that his wife wished for it. Matt then asks if there's a way to stop the aging process and get the boy out of the house. Meanwhile, Kate overhears their conversation from the other phone. Here John finally explains that Shane cannot become a normal human being until his creator dies. He further reveals how the previous residents of the house wished for a boy child and received one, who was none other than John himself. It turns out that they wanted him to have a normal life and they knew they had to die for it. As a result, the woman murdered her husband and forced John to kill her as well. Hearing all this, Kate is devastated and immediately storms out of the house. In the evening, Kate still hasn't returned, so a worried Matt leaves her several voicemails. Meanwhile, we see Kate deliberately trying to get into a car accident so her son can live a normal life, but she gets scared and changes her mind. Back at home, Shane asks Matt where his mother is, but the latter responds that he has no idea. The boy then asks what a figment is, and Matt tries to ignore him, but Shane continues to pester him with questions, which irritates him. In the end, Matt angrily reveals that they are not his parents, and he's not a real person. He also reveals that if Shane goes outside, he will continue to grow until he becomes dust and dies. Shane accuses him of lying, but an enraged Matt grabs him, dares him to go outside, and even asks if he remembers anything before the past 3 months. Matt emphasizes that he's not a real person, so the scared boy immediately retreats to his room. Afterward, Matt feels terrible and goes to apologize to Shane, saying he didn't mean anything. The child also forgives him, and they eventually start bonding. Later, when Kate arrives home, she is pleased to see the two sleeping together. Matt soon awakens, and they share a kiss and end up making love. Unbeknownst to them, Shane is creepily watching them through the door. Later that night, while they're sleeping, Shane takes the house key from his dad's pocket. The next morning, when the couple wakes up, they go to Shane's room, only to find it empty. They are horrified to see the front door open, and Shane's clothes scattered on the floor. The couple soon notices a teenager in the distance, and it turns out Shane had only gone out for a moment to allow his body to mature.
Look, Mommy. I'm big now.
He abruptly points a gun at his dad and tries to shoot Matt. He explains how much he hates him, but Kate approaches the boy and tries to calm him down. Matt then uses this moment to attack Shane, while Kate accidentally hits her head on the floor and passes out. When she awakens sometime later, she anxiously asks about her son, to which Matt reveals that while they were fighting for the gun, it went off, and the boy accidentally died. He also says that he has buried him outside. Hearing this, Kate rushes out with tears in her eyes, as she loved her son dearly, so Matt comforts her and carries her back into the house. Then, to our surprise, we see the real Matt, who has just woken up from the fainting spell elsewhere. It turns out the version of Matt with his wife is actually Shane, and he used the room to look like his dad. Matt can't find anyone in sight, and he tries to enter the secret room, but discovers it is locked from the inside. In a desperate attempt, he begins to destroy the wall to reach the other side. On the other hand, Kate and Shane are having lunch when she tells him that she wants to leave the house. But he refuses, saying they can't survive outside as they have no money or job. Kate also notices him clumsily eating like a child, and even crunching ice like Shane used to do, but doesn't think much of it. Meanwhile, Matt finally breaks through the wall, and travels through a tunnel of cables to reach the secret room. He then arrives at the fake forest that Shane had created, and begins walking through it to find his wife. Elsewhere, Shane and Kate are playing a board game when he suddenly starts touching her breasts. Kate is startled, so he reveals that he often saw them doing it and wants to experience it as well. This finally makes her realize that the person in front of her is not her husband. Meanwhile, Matt, who is still running through the woods, soon notices a replica of his house, and heads toward it. Turns out Shane has created a duplicate house inside the room, where he is currently with his mother. In the meantime, Kate tries to hide from Shane, but he soon finds her and knocks her unconscious. He ruthlessly undresses her and launches an assault, causing the poor woman to awaken. Soon, Matt shows up outside and breaks the window glass, so Shane leaves to take care of the matter. Afterward, Kate gets up and tries to leave, but she soon comes across Matt. He asks her to leave with him, but just then, another Matt appears, claiming to be her husband. This causes her a lot of confusion, so she comes up with a clever idea. Kate calls out Shane, and the man holding her arms turns around, so she immediately pushes him down the stairs. This causes the freak to gradually transform into his real self. The couple tries to flee the house, but they discover that Shane has turned it into a labyrinth. The freak soon catches up to them, and doesn't waste any time in stabbing Matt. He then approaches a distressed Kate and assures her that everything will be fine. But to his shock, it turns out to be the clone of his parents, and not actually them. The couple has escaped the replica house, and is running toward the forest already. They soon arrive at the mysterious room, and then to the real house while being followed by Shane. Next, Matt and Kate reach the front door and proceed to leave, but Shane also arrives with a knife. He immediately runs to attack Matt, so the latter brings him outside. Realizing he can't be out, Shane tries to re-enter the house, but Kate shuts the door. This causes Shane to age quickly, and soon he turns into an old man. Kate then steps out to observe, as the aged Shane finally lies down and dies, turning to dust. She tearfully touches the ashes, and grieves for her son. The scene then cuts to a month later, where we see that the couple has left the house. But during this, Kate is seen in shock, while holding a positive pregnancy test. She suspects that she's pregnant with Shane's child, which means that the horror isn't over yet. Thus, we reach the end of this film. Thanks for watching. You can like this video to support us. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. See you in the next video. Goodbye.